Hey, I'm always waiting for like a you're live. And anyhow, so I'm live. Hey, so yes, it's early Monday. I'm normally here at noon on Monday. However, change is happening. So it's 10 o'clock. We're here behind the scenes, and I just am excited to be here with you this morning. Actually, I love earlier better, and it just worked out that I needed to do it this way this morning. And who knows? Maybe we'll just make 10 o'clock our new time. But today I want to talk about self portraiture and how I've used it over the years for myself personally. Goodness, I can't even tell you how many different ways I've used self portraiture. And today, I have a piece behind me that is a piece that I began, gosh, years ago, and it just spoke to me so much that I didn't want to go any further with it. So I've been looking at it a little bit lately and wondering if I really wanted to do something more with it and if I'm ready to do that. So we'll see. That's why I put it in my studio, and I'm looking at it and kind of being around it and in it, kind of taking myself back to the place I was when I painted that. So we'll see. But that's an example of a painting. But self-portraiture, we can use it for just personal self-exploration. So that can be in the form of a painting. It also can be just in your journaling. So, and any space in between that. That's one of the things that I just love. I can turn anything into a self-portrait. And it's kind of like a creative. It's very hard for us to go for a walk on the beach without picking up shells, without some kind of taking pictures or some kind of, we're so stimulated. We can't even help ourselves. And that's what I love about creativity, because it moves us, and it takes us places, whether it's a memory or it pulls us forward into something new. It's exciting. So anyhow, let's get on with things. Self-portraiture. Well, you've heard of it. You've seen it. It's been recognized forever for a tool for self-exploration, discovery, self-understanding, self-care, self-love. Just you could use it in so many different ways, because there's so many facets to ourselves as human beings, and that's what keeps it exciting for me. So last week I really honed in on three things, and it is mindset, skill set, and tool set. And so I really want to keep every week trying to really bring your attention to the need for those three things to be present in our work. That when you practice just one, you end up stuck or discouraged or frustrated. So many times creatives wonder why, well, maybe I'm not a creative, or maybe I shouldn't have tried that. And it's really that you're lacking that whole, the unification of the experience. So if you're even two, works better than one, actually. But if you're just going on tools and skills, which a lot of new artists start out with, go get the right materials, and because they have something they want to make, or they have a particular medium they want to learn how to work with. So they go get their tools. Okay, they get the brushes, the paper, whatever it takes to do what they're going to do, and then they maybe they have a video, they buy a course, they go to a class, and so that's that. And then when you get done with that experience, it's like, what do you do? So the most natural thing to do is to keep taking classes, right? Go, 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 which is fine. Okay. So, which is fine. So developing more skills is good. Maybe buy more tools. I don't know about, I think if you're a creative, you just value your tools. So of course, we can get very distracted with every shiny new tool and thing going on. And then we come back to some very simple things like I do. I mean, paper towels are a big part of my painting process. So anyhow, and one thing that's often lacking is the mindset, developing a mindset. That's why we get blocks the way we do. I mean, let's face it, if you want to paint watercolor, you probably already have the tools if you've been practicing, right? So it's not about the tools. Yes, you can always get better and develop more and more skills, but oftentimes the block is in our thinking. It's something that's stopping us, and so I spend a lot of time on that, and oftentimes I can go into that so heavily that some of you just want to do something light, and so anyway, I'm aware of that, and I think too, I'll bring some more of that in. In fact, this StreamYard, this tool that I'm using to communicate with you, has now been upgraded, and I can now use it on my iPhone and iPad. So that gives me more flexibility to work hands-on. And so I will begin practicing that and hopefully bring some more of that kind of material into the group so that I can help you, because I want to do that. So if there's anything particular that you would like me to demonstrate that perhaps I've referred to in one of my lives, or you've seen in my work, or maybe you see in the work behind me, I'd be happy to address that and answer it. So let's go on with our topic today about self-portraits. All right. So a lot of artists have used self-portraits. It's used in art therapy and for healing, different things like that. And today what I want to do is talk about it and give you an exercise. So this is going to be like a painting exercise, painting meditation, with the self-portraiture as the tool. Okay, so you're using it as a tool, and it's what I would say is that this is going to be an abstract. It doesn't have to be realistic. In fact, I think keeping it light and easy is to go abstract, so that you're not trying to perfect or produce something. Remember, my big belief is it's not the end product that we're looking for, but if we put our goal and our focus on the experience itself, we get into the journey, and that's where self-discovery is. That's where the self-exploration takes place from. So a simple picture can reveal so many things about your personal characteristics. It's a great tool for defining your needs, discovering your wants and your aspirations, your goals. So I just think it's something to experience and know that you can use this over and over again. And I think just for me, I have been using it quite a bit, just in the context of what's going on now in our current affairs. I mean, there's been an increased depression and anxiety. I know some of these things have flared up for me, and I haven't experienced those in decades, honestly. But finding myself feeling just blue and just low key and flat, just, and it's just like, wow, that's crazy, because I haven't felt this way in years, and just waking up with anxiety. I know that there's just all kinds of things happening in health-wise in our society. So the practice of self-portraiture can be particularly useful for us personally, and in some cases for me urgently, because I needed a place to take myself to go. Because when you're in those feelings of anxiety, or if you're feeling like blue or flat or depressed, you don't know what's going on. Let's face it, if we knew everything, we wouldn't be feeling the way we were feeling. So it behooves me to explore that. So it's my belief that a lot of our illnesses stem from a sense of meaninglessness. It's our responsibility. It's us. It's up to us. It's a matter of us rediscovering and cultivating our personal meaning. So I just say it's just awesome. And I want to give this tool to you because it's worked so well for me. It's far too important for us to leave discovering ourselves, our personal meaning, up to chance. I mean, I don't want to just leave that up to chance. If we don't change old habits, if we don't identify some of the things that are going on in our thinking, we won't be changed. All right. And so why not use this tool so that we're not waiting for information just to kind of fall in our laps. That's not how it works. We don't find out things about ourselves by accident. So let me just begin by saying drawing is a challenge, okay? And if you are not used to drawing, and I know I talk about doodling a lot in this group, because doodling is the way for me. It's been such a powerful healing tool. It's been like just a path for opening up all kinds of creative things for me. So even the most seasoned artist are challenged by sketching. It takes time, it takes dedication and insight to bring that image, that something that we imagine in our minds, to bring it to life and to translate that onto paper. Many of you saw one of the self-portraits I did recently, and I placed in the group. I placed it on my personal page, my business page, and in this group, and I wanted to hear all across the board. And the painting is not complete, but it's in the process. It's part of the layering process. And I got to hear from several people what they thought that meant. And I was so excited because they got it. They gave words to what was going on, and it mirrored that emotion, that condition, all the conditions, if you will, that were present at the time I painted, and I was in that process. So I'm going to continue on that painting, and I will pop it into the group so you'll get to see, and you'll find out more. But just know that just beginning your project demonstrates determination in overcoming the challenge. And that can speak just volumes to your character. So no matter what kind of creative you are, I want to lead you through this classic self-portraiture exercise. All right. Now, drawing some of our intimate attitudes may seem, I don't know, at first, kind of trivial. I don't know. Just maybe not that appealing to you. Maybe you are curious. Maybe you're thinking, well, I see me every day, so what is this going to mean? But this task, when we say yes to something like this, it reveals your self-esteem and as well as how you're interpreting your soul. What is that soulfulness? What's going on inside of you? So let's begin the journey to self-actualization in this exercise. We're going to draw your features in the best manner you see fit. You can bring out your favorite outlines. Don't be afraid to get, surreal with your images. In fact, if you want to use a magazine and just cut things out and create portraiture that way, that's fine too. So if you're not into drawing and you just feel like you want to flip through magazines and you want to create your portrait out of images that you find in magazines, that's also pretty fun and exciting too. So it doesn't matter, the effectiveness will be the same. And so just for the sake of time, I'm going to talk you through this process. All right. So I want you to just listen. You can use it perhaps as a visual meditation, maybe just to experience it visually, and then set aside time to replay this video, because I'm going to have you pause for 2 5-minute segments so that you have time to do the drawing part or the art part. And I say 5 minutes because in this particular exercise, and oftentimes I will introduce exercises that are timed. And I do this because I want to prevent overthinking. All right. And we want the first thoughts. We want the first things. We want to create a sense of urgency so that it comes up, whatever it is. And again, when we do this, this is not the answers for all times, forever and ever. It's just for today, this day, what's going on presently that you're aware of or not aware of. So that's the whole idea. So this is not meant to be like a masterpiece. This is a personal exercise. All right. So I do time it, and it's for purpose. It's purposed to be that way. It's really effective. And then, like I said, as you come back, you'll complete the exercise. And while you're sketching or creating this self-portraiture, you can just think deeply into the person as you are, as opposed to, I don't know. Actually, we're going to be looking at really who you really are, as to what you are. Okay. Because so often we get tied up in, false identities, or we still have old thoughts and feelings about ourselves or old habits. And so it may be sometimes difficult for you as you just have this adventure, as you pursue yourself in this way. And just know we can utilize art to understand ourselves better. So some of the materials you might want to pull aside for this activity are some cardstock or construction paper. You can use just printer paper if you want. Journal, you can utilize in your journal. You want some markers or maybe a pen, scissors and glue if you want to do the magazine thing. Yeah, just a couple of magazines that reflect your, say, your appearance, your outer self, as well as some of your interests, the inner self. All right. So that's really simple. This is, like I said, it's a simple exercise where I've purposed it to help you consider how you appear to others and how you see yourself. That's going to be this exercise. Okay. So you're going to make 2 self-portraits, one on each side of the paper. And I ran a little short on time this morning, but if you'll give me a few minutes after this video, and if you're watching the replay, it probably will be there. I will create just a PDF if you want to download it. But being that I like to go about this in an abstract way, don't feel compelled to have to use a self-portrait template, because what that means to you may not be the same thing as what it means to me. And what it means to you today, it might mean something for you tomorrow differently. So I don't really like to get too tied up in particulars, okay? But if you need a starting place, if you tend to overthink things and you want some place to land, then the PDF is for you. And that's not good, bad, or indifferent. I think doing the exercise is the important thing. So whatever it takes to do the exercise, do that, whether you use a template or not. All right. So first, what I want to do is just kind of pause here and say, okay, we're ready to move into the exercise. All right. And for those of you who are going to watch the replay and do this, it looks like we are, 18 minutes into the video. So you could always scoot it forward to the 18-minute mark. All right. A lot of times I do that. I will listen to, a podcast or an exercise or a lesson or, some instruction. I will listen to it without writing so that I can really be in the experience. And I may jot down what minutes I want to come back to, particularly. But that's all I write down. And then when I go back, I'm able to, really come to it from a it's not the first time I heard it. And I'm not also cluttered with thoughts like, well, I didn't hear that part after it because I was too busy writing down notes from what I heard. So it's just a different way of having an experience or participating in a study, if you will. So I, a lot of times, will just listen all the way through, and then I can come back and I can stop and make notes and go deeper on those points that seem to resonate with me. So that's what I would suggest you do with this. All right, so let's start. Okay, well, let's start with the self-portraiture exercise, and we're going to begin by considering who you are in the world. All right. How might others, maybe who are meeting you for the first time, how might they see you? Okay, let's just maybe even close your eyes and think about that. What is it that stands out in you that when people meet you, they see you? And think beyond even your personal experience about the ways that you like to spend your time. So even in the context of where you're meeting these people is how you're choosing to spend your time. So what was that? Or do you like baseball? Do you like ballet? Maybe you like both. Do you want to go to a street fair, hike? Do you like the beach or shopping? Maybe you're seeing yourself at church, maybe during some kind of ministry or worship. Are you an animal lover, an outdoors person? Maybe a fashion lover, a music fan. Maybe you're a musician. Do you think you're smart, funny, shy? Are you a good friend? Just think about the way other people other people in your life see and experience you. All right. What are the interests people have seen you out in? What are you doing when you're out with others? How do you think people see you interacting with others? So that's the first self-portrait. That's what I'd like you to do. So at this time, if you're listening to the replay, pause the video and take 5 minutes to work on your outer self-portrait. So you're just focusing on the way other people in your life see and experience you. Okay, those are about outside things, right? All right, those are about interests, things outside of you, your interaction, that sort of thing. All right, so if you're replaying this and you're doing the exercise, just pause the video, set the timer for 5 minutes, and when you're done, you can turn it back on. All right. As we continue, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the second part of the activity, and you're going to create an inner self-portrait. All right. So now we've been looking at ourselves and how others may see us from the outside, our outer selves. Now I want you to turn your paper over and think about your inner self. Think about what you know about the inside of you, your inner self, your innermost self. Who is your true self? Okay, inside of us are the dreams and thoughts we have about ourselves, aspirations. And maybe there's just a few people, or maybe even just yourself, who know about these things. So spend some time and think about your inner self for a few minutes. What are some things that people don't know about you? Maybe you're sitting here realizing that you haven't even been dreaming lately or imagining. Or maybe you have. It's summertime. Maybe you've been planning some vacation time, getting away time. And so you've been imagining and taking some action on that. Or maybe you'd like to vacation, but you can't. But you've been imagining that and dreaming about that too. You've been aspiring for that. Maybe you're aspiring to make a change in your life. Maybe secretly you're looking to change your work life, what that looks like. We oftentimes have so many labels and roles that we play or that we are. What if we just kind of let those fall away and just look at our true self? What do we want? What do we need? So think about your inner self for a few moments. Then I want you to create a self-portrait of the inner you. And you can draw this, you can just use words, you can use symbols. And if you're listening to the replay, just pause the video, take 5 minutes to work on your inner self-portrait. And just let go, just let it go. Again, you're the only one who's going to see this. So it's like your inner self is talking to you. Maybe you haven't sat down for a while and really intentionally wanted to access this part of you, this stuff, okay? Maybe a lot of life has been going on and it's been distracting you. And you've been taking care of all those things that seem to be really, really important, and they probably are. But there's some self-care maybe that needs attention, some self-exploration, just for you. We get really good at adapting for the good of others and putting ourselves aside. So take this time And it has nothing to do with being selfish. This is nothing, if don't feel guilty about this. You're just writing some things on paper. There's no shame in that. All right. None at all. This is just you. So take 5 minutes and work on your inner self-portrait. All right. Just for time's sake, I'm going to continue. And when we're done with those 2 portraits, what I would say is just take some time and reflect a little bit and journal. And I'm going to put these questions in the group. And so you'll be able to, don't worry about jotting them down. I will put them in so that you have that. But take some time to journal, and journal about, say, what are the differences between your inner and outer self-portrait? What differences do you see in those self-portraits? Was there a lot that you chose not to show others about yourself? What did that look like? And which portrait was harder to do? Which one did you have a harder time making? Was it because, well, I'm not going to go further. I want you to talk. I want just give it some thought. So, and then just, how does who you are affect how you see others? How does who you are affect how you see the world? And then just lastly, does anything about your portrait, either one of them, represent maybe a spiritual facet of yourself? Where does spirituality fit into this? Are you seeing anything about you or your interest, you and your inner world, that reflect spirituality or that spiritual facet of yourself? You might want to sum up your experience in a word. If you can come up with one word, that'd be cool. What new thing did you learn about yourself? And then what I suggest is that you share what you've discovered. You could share about it with, a friend, a family, a trusted person. And then if you're inclined, you can share a little something in the group just about your experience. You don't have to share particulars, but perhaps just share, what it was like for you. Have you ever had a self-portrait experience before? And if so, what was this like? What was the other one like? Did you like this process? Was it easy or difficult? You can use this experience in so many ways. For instance, if you have an area that's particularly difficult for you right now, or a role that you're playing, all right, you can repeat this exercise with that role. Like, let's say you're having some conflict with being a friend or being a mom. You can do the same exercise, but purposed, just intentionally to demonstrate asking yourself those questions as it relates to that role that you play. And you can find out a lot about yourself. All right. I know for me, I've had such powerful experiences that I just want to help others find ways to have these kinds of things. And self-portraiture is something that any of us can do. Again, if we don't look at it like we're creating a master painting and we're just using it as an abstract piece, it can be really, you could just reveal so many things about yourself. I mean, let's face it, even one new thing you learned about yourself can change a lot of things. One new attitude shift, it can affect everything for you. One new thing you discover about you, as I mentioned earlier, is just being responsible for finding what your current personal meaning is. Going back and just rediscovering something about yourself something you forgot about you. Oh my gosh, that's right. This is my belief about that. Oh my goodness, I wasn't feeling like I had a purpose in this particular sphere, this particular group of people. And it's not what I thought it was. My purpose is something else. Or maybe it was this purpose, but now it has changed. You know, as parents, as our kids grow up, they don't need us for the same things anymore. So if we keep expecting to be the parents we were for them when they were 6 years old and now they're 21, we're going to keep coming up against ourselves, and we're going to have more and more problems with that relationship because we haven't adapted. We haven't basically let ourselves move forward and released them to being their own responsible person. You know, doesn't mean that we don't have purpose in their life. It just means that it's different. What they need us for are really important things, but it's not those important things they were as they were when they were 6. So I know that's a drastic example, but I know for me, oftentimes when I do work out some kind of a conflict I'm having with relationships, eventually when I really get honest, I hear myself, and sometimes I do sound like a kindergartner or a first grader. Emotionally, oh my goodness, I'm surprised at myself sometimes. But I don't find that out until there's conflict. You know, I don't find out there's a need for a conversation until there's confusion. So it's really not important about what comes up, but how do I want to experience it? What do I want to learn about myself? And by doing that, I can move forward and I can have more meaningful and personal relationships, more satisfying, creative experiences. You know, life gets easier, it gets better. It doesn't mean that we're going to be perfect or this particular portrait exercise is going to give you the answers to everything. Sometimes we have to do these many days in a row to keep working through the layers of confusion, of misunderstanding, of disappointment, of frustration. All right. These are creative realities. And if you're an artist, you know what I'm talking about. So are you willing to do this for yourself? All right. Remember, no one's going to do this for us. This is going to help us to reveal our personal characteristics. It's a great way to define what our needs are, what our aspirations are, what kind of goals do we have. You know, it could be that you could apply the same principles that I'm teaching for your creative work. You could apply them in your personal life, mindset, tool set, skill set. All right. What's your thinking about this? What are your limiting beliefs? Are they based on? What are they based on? All right. And then what tools do you need to work through this, to bring about an outcome that's more desirable? And the skill set is by practicing it, usually by just beginning and not having to, you know, go in with a hammer for every problem we have. Okay, we can't use the same solution for every problem. So we're going to have to, again, get into that mindset, pick a tool, what's going to help us bring about the outcome, and how do you use that tool? That's the skill. Okay. And maybe the tool has help. Maybe as we bring this skills in, maybe that's going to help complete the picture. So you have all three components. So you're going to have a greater chance of getting the outcome that's best for you. It may not be the outcome you set out to have, but it will be the one that's best for you. I know that from experience. See, we very rarely know what's going on. We think we do. And that's why it's so important to use this exercise for your self-exploration, for self-discovery. Because left to my own devices, I will I will have a closed mind. I will think I know what's going on. I will think there's no other way. I will give up. I will have setbacks. And really, that's not what we want. And so, anyway, I just hope you use this exercise. I hope it's something that you can use over and over again. I'd love to hear about your experience. And just remember, this all begins with you committing time for yourself, accepting a few simple things on faith, all right? Where your goal is the journey itself and just letting this creative process have its way. So make a decision to have a supernatural experience. That's your mindset. So, and what this means is that you're going to know something more than you knew before. Supernatural means above natural. That means beyond me. Okay. So I'm inviting the creator in to help me have a new experience with what's going on with myself. So I connect to my creativity using a tool set. And so we are using the tool of self-portraiture and developing those skills by asking ourselves those questions to help use that tool in the best possible way for an outcome that's going to help you and move you forward, to give you personal meaning and feel like you've got a better handle, you're in touch with yourself. And that's the best, most kindest thing you can do for yourself. That's self-love, self-care. All right, so have a super day. Give me a few minutes and I will post those PDFs for you and let me know about your experience. Okay, all righty. We'll see you next week. All right, bye-bye.